Hmm.
Security is a big deal to everyone doing business on the web. Learn how to keep your customers and your business safe with an SSL certificate. Have you ever noticed that some web addresses begin with HTTP and others start with HTTPS? The added S means the site has SSL security. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer. It's technology that keeps sensitive information like credit cards, bank account numbers, usable.
Do you think that your life is going endlessly nowhere? Do you feel mentally struck down at times? Do you criticize yourself? Do you feel your life is dark at times? Do you feel stressed out when you think of your finance, love, marriage life, or your children? You need life coaching, a positive counseling, a friendly talk with a global expert. Call EmoCare for life coaching and positive counseling. We provide global standard life coaching, positive counseling through Zoom, WhatsApp, mobile, home visit, or in our mental health temples situated across the globe. We also provide training in mental health, EmoCare, the global leaders in training, coaching, and counseling. Okay, let's wait for some time. We have 4 more minutes. Okay, so I welcome everyone. Just let us wait for 5 more minutes.
Magdaji, if you can raise your camera a little high. Yeah, because we are now it's better. We were not able to see your eyes also in between. Now it is better. Super. Perfect.
Yeah, we have 2 more minutes and people are joining. So let's wait for some time. Yeah, please wait. We will start at 7 o'clock. Subra and Jigyasa Paul. Okay. Hi, team. I welcome every one of you for this wonderful evening. Team, 1 minute. Sriram, class like call pantana.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening to everyone. So, first, I think first 5 minutes, let's wait because people are joining. So, at the outside, I thank Megda Medini ma'am, and also I thank uh, Aditi for accepting my invitation to talk today. The two dignitaries who are joining today are very experienced people, and they are masters in their field. Both Megda Medini ma'am and Aditya. So I think Adita is also here. Adita ma'am, are you here? Hello ma'am. Yeah. So I think she'll be joining soon. As far as psychology is concerned, last time when we had the program on mental health certification, Dr. Paulo sir, he told a very important aspect. In the transactional analysis early book written by Eric Berne has told that you have to study the anatomy. You have to understand about your body if at all you want to be a good counselor. We can succeed as a counselor or as a psychologist only when we know about our own bodies. Our own bodies, we should know the various aspects. Mostly, we are all not aware of the various aspects related to the physical body. So today we are having one of the dignitary who is very famous in this aspect. So she is going to talk about the anatomy. She is a practicing doctor in Apollo Clinic, and I really thank ma'am for joining here and agreed to take the class. I will tell you, team, there are certain doctors you cannot even talk. You are going to, you people might have gone to hospital, okay? Even I have gone. You are asking some question. When you ask some question, now they will tell, I have written the tablet. Okay, next question. Okay, some. I'm not telling all. I'm not telling all. Please, I underline, not all doctors. Few doctors. Out of this, there is a doctor who is ready to share an important knowledge which she has learned in her 5 years of MBBS career and in her practice, okay, in her the life practice, free of cost to the people. We have to thank her. When people, when life coach or the trainers, if they are ready to share their knowledge, that is not a very big aspect. I'm telling you, that is not very big aspect. Because when we do it, we get branding. When we get branding and we learn so many aspects. But for a doctor, branding is not at all required. Branding is not at all required to a doctor because the name doctor in front of the name and the place where they are working, that itself is enough to create a branding, and they don't need any kind of brand. Just because the people should have the knowledge, people should have the awareness, okay? Megda Medini ma'am has agreed for the proposal, for which I actually salute you now. It is very difficult to see doctors like this. It is very difficult to see doctors like this. When my mother was sick, there was a doctor nearby my house. Nearby my house, that is just 10 feet. I went to her house and I asked her, ma'am, can you just come and check my mother? What is the problem? She has become unconscious. I do not know why. She regretted actually. She told you bring her here. I told, madam, she has become unconscious. Can you, whatever fees you want, I will give. She told, no, I can't give. If you want, you bring her here. But one more doctor, her name is Jyoti. And Jyoti, ma'am, she just looked like our Megda ma'am. I will share the photo, ma'am. I will share the photo of Jyoti, ma'am. In fact, one day I will introduce her to you. She is such a nice doctor, And she, when I went, she told immediately, she came to my home. She checked, she did checked, ma'am, they checked the blood, ma'am, by just piercing the hand. It is called something like CBG or something. What is it, ma'am?
The glucometer are you talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Just they pierced the.
Yes, GRPS.
Yeah. So these are the things. See, so we may not be knowing. So she did it, and she told Shimar the blood sugar level has gone down very down, and sugar is required for the brain. Little amount of sugar, I think she told in their language. I am not able to understand. Okay, that only ma'am has to clarify. She told the quantum of sugar which has to go to the brain, it is not going.
Yes.
Simple Shokma, glucose, if we give glucose, she will become all right. Okay.
Because if the adequate glucose is not there and it's not supplied to the brain, definitely you'll get giddiness.
Yeah. So what happened? Immediately we have taken her to the hospital and we gave glucose. And before that, actually, I intimated all my family that mother is sick. Come. Okay. My sister came running. Okay. And my mother was sitting very nicely, and she asked her, why are you wearing all these ornaments morning? Morning 6 o'clock, she reached the hospital. Why are you wearing all these ornaments? Don't carry all the ornaments when you are traveling. And my brother-in-law was asking, she is looking all right. You told she is serious, she has gone to core. She has become unconscious, etc. You told now she is talking like this. So a good doctor, a best doctor is required. Doctors and psychiatrists, they are the top. As far as the COVID is concerned, the work which doctors have done, really we have to salute the doctors. And I salute you, ma'am, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart to accept our invitation. As far as this kind of session is concerned, ma'am, we have organized so many seminars, and this is one of the best seminar, I should say, because so far no doctor, I have been watching WhatsApp groups, etc. No doctor has ever come to a session and gave a lecture. And thank you very much, ma'am. And now the stage is Megda Medani, ma'am. Again, I introduce her, Megda Medani, ma'am. She is a doctor by profession. She is working in Apollo Hospitals. She is in Mysore. She's working in Mysore. And on behalf of all of you, on behalf of the 100 which is going to touch now, okay, on behalf of the 100 people who are here, I thank ma'am. I thank ma'am from the bottom of my heart. Ma'am, now the stage is yours, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
So much, sir. First and foremost saying, it's my utmost pleasure that, you invited me here. It's my utmost pleasure. And why I joined this session is when I realized that psychology as an element is needed. And first and foremost thing, my mother is the inspiration for this. My mother imbibed that, the subject of psychology is so important that, every doctor should also know. When she used to start like with the basics, with practical, how she used to use it, like not so much like you can say advanced or so, like we are learning here in CBT, REBT, art therapy, all that. Just the basics. With that basic, since she has pursued her nursing, with that she studied psychology as a subject. And that she used to tell me with her experience, practices, and practical experiences that evoked me in my heart that, why psychology is so important. Why is it so important for other professions? Why not for doctors? That made me pump and come to this platform. And when I received such a heartwarming welcome from Mr. Shiva Kumar, I'm so glad that I'm performing today. I'm so very glad that I'm performing today and I'm taking a class in this platform.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You can proceed, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be starting with my presentation named as Mind and Physical Health.
Ma'am,
So-
ma'am, 1 minute, ma'am. I will make you co-host, madam. I will make you co-host so that you will be able to share the presentation. And Aditi, ma'am, you are here, ma'am. Aditi, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. I am taking you also. Ma'am, I have made you as co-host, ma'am. Please proceed, ma'am.
Okay, but my presentation is in another mobile. Like this is my mother's mobile, which I'm operating on the video screen.
Shall I proceed, ma'am?
Yeah, you can proceed. I'll proceed. No problem.
Yeah, you can proceed, ma'am. Meanwhile, I will put the presentation.
Introduction, let me tell you, the World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical and social well-being, and not merely the absence of a disease or infirmity. The WHO itself is defining this health, about health, that it is a complete state of physical, mental, and social being. And the WHO says,
Ma'am, please unmute, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute, ma'am. Megha, ma'am, please unmute your.
okay. Sorry.
No, I inadvertently I have muted. Sorry.
Okay. No problem. This thing I would love to say I'll introduce, like with the introduction, let me start with my presentation. The WHO defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely any absence of a disease or infirmity. This is what WHO says about health. And it also says that there is no health without mental health. And the brain and the peripheral nerve system, the endocrine and the immune systems, and indeed all the organs of our body, we do have emotional responses. For an example, I'll give you, like if any surgery in any of the glands, like in the brain part, you have pineal gland and pituitary gland. And in the throat, you have thyroid. And in the stomach, you have pancreas. You have sexual organs, which also secrete this thing. And you have mammary glands in ladies. And all these endocrine glands and exocrine glands, where you release sweat and everything. If this function is dysfunctional, definitely once one scenario happens, any surgery, be it thyroid, be it any, even pancreas also, any major operation happens, they have a susceptibility of diabetes. Because why it happens that, why they complain? Often, like, those who get these thyroid issues and all, why they are more susceptible with diabetes? It is because the pancreas secrete two hormones, actually. the pancreas secrete two hormones, which is glucagon and insulin. Glucagon is especially like, it pumps your blood sugar. Like how Shiva Kumar sir has said that my mother fainted, and when the doctor has checked the GRBS, that is called as glucose random blood sugar. When that was low, did not reach the brain, glucagon is responsible for that. When glucagon is not released so much from the body, then this happens. And insulin is something which suppresses the glucagon function. If glucagon function is so high, it brings to balance. And when in a major surgery, when thyroid is cut, or pituitary or pineal gland is cut during surgery, like it happens majority in major surgeries, that is like, the glucagon insulin balance will be imbalanced. So how to balance and this thing? So that leads to diabetes. Diabetes is reduction of insulin, this thing, because it is not able to suppress the glucagon, this thing. So it is insufficiency of insulin secretion actually that leads to diabetes. That is an example I told you here. Next slide I go. Sir, go to the third slide, sir. What exactly meant by the word mind? Mind and brain, they are not the same. Mind is actually the non-physical form, if I say, and brain is the physical form. Because see, in particular brain, like in a brain, we have particular areas. One area deals with vision, one area deals with hearing, one area deals with speech, one area even deals with senses also, smell, taste, because all these cranial nerves, they are interconnected to brain. They are connected with certain areas, like in a socket. Brain is like a socket. Like you can say a breadboard. If breadboard, and all the wires are connected. Those are cranial nerves. First nerve is olfactory, which deals with smell. Second is optic nerve, deals with vision. Third is oculomotor nerve, that is again movements of the eye, that deals with movements of the eye. And fourth, fifth, there are 12 cranial nerves. If I start explaining all that, then this session will not be. Okay, so let's continue with this. Brain is the hardware that allows to experience these mental states. Instead, mind consists of mental stages such as thoughts, emotions, belief, attitude, and images. We can have emotional reactions to situations without being aware of why we are reacting. Each mental stage has a physiology associated to it, be it positive or be it negative. Because if you are staying positive in everything, you will at most see that you are healthy. Because when you meditate or when you take utmost care of your own body, first and foremost thing for your own body which it needs is self-love. Self-love is something which is very, very necessary. It's not selfish or it's not egoistic at all. And when you have self-love, the body itself will get repaired automatically. Because certain things, when you are in a chronic stage of a disease, definitely the part is that, if you give real good words, like I have heard in the mental health class of Shiva sir, that he was talking about strokes, unconditional positive strokes. In that, if you give unconditional positive strokes also, that you are getting well, don't worry, ma, you are getting well, you are all right. For an example, I will take right now his example itself, which is a very best example I can explain in this session, that his mother fainted. What Dr. Jyoti acted was in a way positive stroke. because she checked blood sugar, she is all right, because her words impacted Shiva sir as well. That no, my mother is all right. No, my, like, it is not going something severe. Sometimes these strokes do matter. And the doctor who refused, actually, she gave unconditional negative stroke. That, why to contact at the odd time and everything. Actually, for a doctor, there is no limit of time. A doctor is at service 24/7. Actually, yeah, regardless of personal life and everything, I agree, everybody has. But a doctor professionally is at service 24/7, even if you are at home. You're a doctor means once you're a doctor, you're always a doctor. Yeah. Now, proceed to the next slide, sir. Yeah. Anxiety presents in itself in many forms. Anxiety is one of the common problems. And do physical factors affect mental health? Example, psoriasis. Actually, it's not only psoriasis, many skin conditions do go through. Because constant irritation towards the skin also, it brings down your self-esteem. For a simple example, leave this psoriasis alone. This is a serious condition as well, and it is very rare. Simple example I'll give you is acne. If constantly you are getting acne and everything, many girls have this issue, and not only girls, many boys have this issue of acne, especially if the whole face is full of acne. How will they feel? They feel very inferior, that, they can't deal. And they feel like, oh, I'm not looking good. How can I come at stage and everything? Despite they are good at speaking, they are good at their own talents. But because of one acne, they feel very shy to come at the stage because fear of judgment. Because in today's world, in current generation, many youngsters are facing this. Many youngsters are facing this actually. With simple thing, they don't understand that what biology is going on and what this thing. Instead, they come at pointing out, hey, why don't you go to a dermat? Why don't you go to this thing and get your treatment done and everything? Everybody is there to poke. That is what the peer group and everything also matters. What is the mind-body connection and why it is so important? Have you ever felt so nervous your hand starts to shake? Or felt so worried that you could not sleep at night? Our emotions often affect the way we feel physically. And we even have words to describe that feelings like heartache and gut wrenching. Like sometimes, at workplace also, if you're feeling sad or anything, definitely you won't feel lively. You feel drained, you feel exhausted. Something very drastic happened and you start down crying. I'll tell you, your face also doesn't look good and your energy is totally drained after crying and getting yourself into a neutral mode. You're so damn exhausted that you're not able to do progressive work after that. That itself shows, this itself is a proof that emotions do matter in your physical health. The mind-body connection is the link between a person's thought, attitudes, and behavior and their physical health. The mind-body connection is an important component of holistic medicine. Now, holistic medicine, if I talk about, is an example like yoga, Reiki, there is Qigong, Tai Chi, cognitive behavioral therapy, all the psychology therapies, these also come under holistic medicines because these are soft subjects which deal with the mind and not with the physical brain. So in this flow chart, mental health, can you open the slide, eighth slide. Yeah. In this 8th slide, how I have put the picture is mental health, directly physical health and quality of life. These are interrelated. If mental health is good, your physical health is good. And your physical health is good, your quality of life is good. And your quality of work and your quality of progress increases. And same vice versa. If your mental health is not good, your physical health is definitely not good. And definitely your quality of life is not good. For an example, if I give a person who is going through schizophrenia, definitely a person is not healthy physically as well. That person,
mental health, quality of life.
excuse me, can you mute the mic?
Please continue, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah. I was giving an example of schizophrenia, or not even schizophrenia, if I say a person who is going through anxiety. Simple example, anxiety. That person will definitely have stomach illness. Definitely, stomach is related to emotions, because stomach, when you're eating junk, when you're always in coffee, when you're always in cold drinks and everything, because of what? The main reason to take out junk and everything to binge, that is depression and anxiety. No sane mind person will binge junk every day. If you have tension only, you will take that. If you have no tension, you will worry, hey, why to take that? Better I will have some home tasty food. I'll ask my mother to prepare something tasty. That side of mindset will be there. And if your physical health is not good, how will you perform your exam? Exam failure, lack of time. Then sometimes you will even have procrastinating towards studies also. अरे यार मेरा पेट दुख रहा है, मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा है, मैं बहुत भारी फील कर रहा हूँ. So with that, the quality of performance also comes down. Quality of life is different. Quality of performance is also gone. Next slide, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Now, 80% of people believe that mental health is an impact on physical health. And 94% believe that mental health is equally important as physical health. And this is very true. Because if a person, suppose a person had a heart attack, definitely that person is a very fragile person and a very, very emotional person. Why? It is because if this thing, in the previous class, when you discussed that, the girl is afraid to tell her mother because she will die out of heart attack, because already she had an attack of heart attack. Okay. Why that lies an impact on mental health. Mental health impact is that either that person has seen something very drastic that led to heart attack. He might have gone through, or he might have gone through some major shock that was not being able to take inside to, or that person might have lost resilience. And because of such possible reasons, that has to be done. And many doctors, yeah, definitely, the hospital treatment, everything is A1. But that A1 treatment is very, very incomplete unless and until you don't synchronize with the pain he's going through emotionally. Because if you start counseling also in this, then you will come to know that, because of this reason and everything, because the deep root is that. If you treat the deep root, definitely he will never have any heart attack. Never. Okay. The science behind the mind-body connection, sometimes referred to as body command center or the human supercomputer. That is very true. And for an example, if I give our endocrine glands, they are the supercomputers. For an example, I will give you about PCOD. Those women who go through polycystic ovarian disease or ovarian syndrome, PCOS or PCOD. Definitely they have mood fluctuations. Why? It is because of the disruption of hormones. Especially we have hormones like estrogen and testosterone. Actually, testosterone is more in men and very less quantity in women. Why the testosterone is necessary for a woman? It is because to gain certain energy during menstrual cycle and during pregnancy time. This is the main role which testosterone in women plays. And to have good stamina. It is also called as a stamina hormone. That is why men have more physical strength than women. Testosterone. But if this testosterone level is higher in women, then the chances of PCOD or PCOS comes in role. So in that, hair growth is unusual, where you have thick hair on the tummy area, like excessive hair growth, which is also called as hirsutism. In medical term, we call it as hirsutism. That is like, some women even have mustache or beard or very long hair growth like men. And sometimes in very unusual areas, they have, like around the tummy, like around the chest area also, if I say. So these are all the things. And what mode affects in that PCOD is, the girl becomes very moody, especially during the monthly cycle, nearing monthly cycle. And every woman will relate to who is going through this problem. She gets very sensitive. If anything is being told in a normal tone also, she'll feel very moody. And the fluctuation, even she gets easily depressed. Easily anxiety she gets. So main role to understand the mood. So you have to ask the underlying condition of the physical health. If she is undergoing chronic depression or chronic schizophrenia also, then you have to ask her gynecological health as well, because her gynecological health is related to anxiety and depression as well. If she is going through any other issue other than the gynecological issue also, like thyroid, hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, this is also flares of anger goes up and down like seesaw. She is very moody and very this thing. And thyroid issues is not only with women, even with men also. They men develop a certain aspect called as gynecomastia also. That is because of thyroid issue. And the male organ issue also. In that male organ issue, at least testosterone, that gives stamina to them, to men. And if that, it decreases also, if thyroid plays a massive role, then that gynecomastia, as an example, also goes through. So why I gave this example is of a body command center and human supercomputer. Hormones do play a major role in this. Yeah. How thoughts and emotions affect health. When we are stressed, our body releases two hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline is basically a hormone of flight or fight response. Why? Because I remember a class on mental health where he was explaining about triune brain, triune mind, reptilian mind, limbic mind, and one more. I forgot, sorry, sir. But there are three which you explained me about triune, which is
Yes, ma'am. That is reptilian brain, limbic brain, and cortical brain.
yes, cortical brain. Yes. So if you are in a cortical brain, you are all right. But if you are in a reptilian brain, adrenaline plays a role in a reptilian brain. Limbic brain, cortisol is the role which plays. Cortisol is a hormone which plays a role in limbic brain. Adrenaline is the hormone which plays in reptilian brain. Because if you're afraid of so, your kidney, your adrenal gland releases adrenaline. And with that, if you're so afraid, you have an urge to urinate. That is because of the adrenal gland release, excessive adrenal gland release, especially when you're so afraid that reptilian mind, oh, yo, I have this exam, I have to pass. How can I study? I have these many days, everything, stress, strain, fear-based. Adrenaline is released to a massive amount. And in that adrenaline amount, if you believe, there is more of caffeine intake also has an impact on adrenaline release as well. Even cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone which creates irritation. When you're super angry, super stressed, or going through some revenge mind, cortisol plays a role in that. However, you can still feel stressed even if there is no danger to escape. Releasing these hormones too frequently can have negative long-term effect on the body, like weak immune system, digestive problems, healing more slowly. Because stress hormones do interfere in healing. If you're utterly a negative person, if you're pessimistic, if you are somebody who is a skeptic, these play a role actually. That your adrenaline level goes higher, and with that, if the adrenaline level goes higher, your immune system decreases. In simple words, I read one of the quotes as well that negative thinking decreases your immunity. And that is very, very true. If you're constantly depressed, you're constantly anxious, cortisol plays a role in this. And more of cortisol, this thing, it makes your body so weak that, your walking style differs, your standing style differs, your posture differs, your confidence differs. So it is so directly related. The way we think and what we believe can affect our health too. Because if you think positive, so there are good feeling hormones that is called as oxytocin and serotonin. These are the two major hormones which bring a positive impact to your skin. Externally, if I talk about, first it brings out to your skin, second to your emotions, third to your progress in life. Because if somebody gives an unconditional positive stroke, definitely that oxytocin release will be there. And when you have sympathy or empathy, oxytocin is released. Simple. And third, when your mother hugs a child, oxytocin is released between the mother and the child. And in relationships also, if you have a cordial relationship, oxytocin release will be more. Serotonin, where does it plays role? Where, like if I say when you're calm, when you are meditating, when you are, what do you say? When you are sitting in a class laughing, or when you're sitting in a group, in a friend circle, like you're laughing, you're playing, you're doing, serotonin has a release. Even when you play sports, adrenaline has a minimal role in that while playing sports, because to regulate the blood system, for that reason, adrenaline plays in a positive way, and that is very mild, adrenaline. But the majority role serotonin plays, like when you play sports, when you are in a competition, when you are relaxed and everything. And when you win, oxytocin plays a role. When you're winning, like, I won. That happiness, this is called as happiness hormones. These two are called as happiness hormones. Okay. 4 ways your physical and mental health are connected. First is hydration. Second is rest. Third is exercise. And fourth is nutrition. If you are not hydrated, definitely you will feel irritated. Definitely you will feel irritated. And when you exercise, oxytocin and serotonin have an equal role in release. Like when you exercise, you feel good after. Like when you eat so much, you don't feel like eating so much after exercise, because the feel good hormone doesn't let you. The release of oxytocin and serotonin doesn't. And when you take ample rest, the best example is sleep. Who doesn't like sleeping? Unless and until that person is going through any tension or any depression, any negative emotion. But a positive person will love to sleep, because sleep is such a repairing mechanism that, the brain brain plays a role in that. The pituitary gland and the pineal gland. If the pineal gland is activated also, there something is called as clairvoyance is increased. And if you see about pituitary, first and foremost thing is of growth in children. Second is it balances your mind hormones. Like pituitary is like a master center to, what do you say? To maintain and coordinate with other hormones, be it thyroid, be it pancreas, be it your sex hormones, or be it your happiness or sad hormones. Like not sad hormones, if I say stress hormones. Pituitary is like a master hormone. If that is gone, everything is gone. It's like that. That interconnection is there. And pineal gland, if you say, has a minor role with the other hormones, but has a major role in enhancing your memory and enhancing your brain activities. It is like a catalyst to bring up superpowers in you. It is like a catalyst. Pineal gland is mainly a catalyst. And main thing that plays a role, last but not the least, nutrition. If you have good food, like there is a simple quote in this: you are what you eat. If you eat good food, definitely you're following a very good path and a very good optimistic minded person as well. Because if you eat good nutrition also, if you have, bad, okay, I'll give you an example of junk food. Junk food is something which is a destroyer, because it releases stress hormones to a lot extent, and that makes you a negative person eventually. That is an example. Now coming to mind-body therapies. Mind-body therapies are healing techniques that promote relaxation and encourage mindfulness. These therapies use body to affect the mind and vice versa. So as earlier I have told, like there is art therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, hypnotherapy, guided imagery, meditation, music therapy. These are the holistic sciences which help. The main purpose of all this is relax. And the main factor which plays a role is neuro-linguistic programming. If in a relaxed mind, if you do it, that is the major part which plays a role in neuro-linguistic programming. A relaxed mind is an easy prey for NLP. And if correct NLP is done, everything is sorted. The role of mind in disease prevention. Wellness is as much of a mental battle as it is a physical process. Example I'll give you is dieting. Who doesn't hate dieting? Who doesn't? I, being a foodie, I don't like to diet. Honest confession, I don't like to diet. I'm a foodie, I love eating everything, but I do keep a control that what is to be eaten to a limit and what I can eat to the optimum. That is mental. And the physical process, if your mentality is good, definitely you will reduce, you will be in a good shape, you will be everything. And that perfectionism doesn't come because everything is normal and every flaw is normal. So people who suffer from diseases like asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, diabetes, and high cholesterol often know what lifestyle changes to adopt, but may not want to make the change. The mind influences our desire to do the right thing for our bodies. If your mind is sane, definitely you will believe to come into right path. If your mind is not sane, and if you are stressing that, oh, I have to reduce, definitely you will not reduce. Because you're bringing the stress hormone, and that is bringing a blockage in your desire and your goal. This is bringing the blockage, the stress hormones. Because if you release cortisol, you're easy to gain weight because of stress. You're easy to gain weight if a person is trying to lose weight. Reversal action takes place. You won't lose weight. But if you gradually tame your mind first, that is what in one of the hypnotherapy sessions, that why hypnosis plays a role in weight loss is you have to prepare your mind first. And then the physical process takes place automatically because you have to sync your body with, sync your body with your mind. Then only that gradual process comes in weight loss. Okay. Now coming to the small hint, why exercise is really good for mental health. As I have told, exercise releases the happiness hormones that is called oxytocin and serotonin. If this is a massive part, definitely your depression goes away, your anxiety, your obsessive compulsive disorders, all those, even inferiority complex has a major role, like, in bringing up stress and everything. But when you start exercising, when you start doing something productive, that increase in confidence is also an increase in oxytocin and serotonin. There is increase in confidence, there is increase in productivity. So these play a role. These two hormones are the main things which play a role in exercising also. So people who exercise regularly tend to do so because it gives them an enormous sense of well-being and they feel more energetic throughout the day. This is very true. That is why in schools, it is so much mandatory for children to play games. Because after that, they pick up the concept very quickly. They pick up the concept very quickly because the hormonal play is very fast. Because there is release of oxytocin, there is a release of serotonin, and plus there is a release of glucagon that is reaching to your brain as well. Because glucagon is also an action hormone. And when you are relaxed and calm, insulin also helps to suppress. That it brings to normal, like balance. And it is also a powerful medicine for many common mental health challenges. Reaping the mental health benefits of exercise is easier than you think. Because when you tame your mind, your physical health is already tamed. Because 70% of the goal which you want to achieve is through your mental health, not through your physical health. Yeah, physical health is a catalyst that you can go into. But main thing is if you know to tame your mind, you know to tame your body. So with that, I conclude this presentation with how to respond when someone talks to you about their mental health.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, wonderful, ma'am. Ma'am, I have few questions, ma'am. Only 3 questions. Okay, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay.
Only 3 questions. Okay.
Okay.
From the participants, you can ask. I can allow 2 people because Aditi, ma'am, is also having a wonderful presentation today.
Yeah.
My presentation, I will do it next week. Okay. Aditi will take the presentation. Now I have a few questions, ma'am. Ma'am.
Yeah.
Diabetes. One is extra weight. Okay, madam. Obese. Okay, ma'am. So, what is that you will advise, ma'am? What are the things? What are the foods they can take? What are the foods they should not take?
Sorry, can you repeat the question once again, sir?
Madam, obese. That is the people overweight.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what are the foods they can take? And what are the foods they can avoid? And what are the from the medical point of view? Okay, ma'am. Now, when we say exercise, okay, ma'am, you talked about exercise. People used to go to gym and walk, cycling. Okay, there are various aspects. What you will recommend, ma'am? Suppose somebody is overweight and he wants to reduce the weight. Suppose, what kind of food he can take, and what are the foods he should avoid, which is having higher amount of sugar or other aspects, and what kind of exercise he can do, ma'am?
Okay. So very nice question which is asked by Shiva sir. I'll explain in 2 easy concepts. Our brain craves for eating tasty. So you have to tame your taste. By taming, you can cook in such a way that it should not be too oily also. It should not look like too junk also. It should not look like मैं क्या dieting कर रहा हूँ. That also should it should be in a moderate food. Like if you are eating chapati also, a person can eat, suppose a person is eating 3 to 4 chapatis, he can reduce it to 2, half. Plus, if he is eating mutton also, then he should switch on. Many have an obsession of eating beef and mutton. That is like too dangerous. We know that. But what we can do is, to a person, first and foremost thing, you cannot cut it like that. You can bring it to such a level that, from a beef, you can bring it to mutton. From mutton, what you can do is you can remove the skin and you can prepare the minced, you can have minced part. Because minced part takes low energy plus less of oil is needed in minced meat. And very good if you are not eating those parts. But if you are eating only chicken, egg, or this thing, fish, that is utmost good. But what you can do is, instead of frying the thing, you can put it in tandoor or you can bake, and which takes minimum oil consumption. And never skip breakfast. Never skip breakfast, because eat breakfast like a king, lunch as a workman, and dinner as a pauper. This is a quote which is like told by dietitians also, because the majority of the metabolism takes place in the morning. That is why breakfast should be very optimal. That is why, like, those who don't eat so much breakfast and all, they'll end up gaining weight, and they don't lose weight easily. People do this mistake. Very nice food and very highly rich energy food should be taken in breakfast, and a very light food should be taken in the night. No biryani, no all that. That doesn't run at night. That's a very bad this thing. It's a disaster actually. Because it drastically increases your weight, because that becomes a storage fat. Unless and until you don't exercise, you can't this thing. Second simple thing is be what you can say, have good amount of water. I know it is easier to be said than done. It is easier to be said than done. You have to have lots of water, but start from how much you are consuming. Like if you are starting from 2 glasses a day, start 4 glasses. Start with 4 glasses. And but taking normal water is very, very ineffective. Take warm water. And in the morning, lemon and honey. These are the catalyst, because this reduces, stress. That is why lemon and honey is given to importance, because certain diets are given to calm your mind also, rather than losing weight, because when your mind is ready to lose weight, you definitely lose weight. That is why certain foods like nuts and everything, why they're advised to eat, because they activate your brain, and they activate your brain activity, and they give a positivity to your mind. That is why nuts are advised. Especially in simple terms, if I say, eat good food and avoid junk outside to a normal extent. And subset, the extreme point is you have to stay happy. I know there are many families who are going through much tension. And at that stage, I feel unless and until you don't make up your mind, don't take up a weight loss challenge. First, tame your mind, then go to a weight loss challenge. This is a personal experience of mine, because when you are stressed and everything, do not take up this challenge, because it will reverse your body. But if you want to calm your self mind, first start with meditation. Start with relaxing your mind. To all the obese and overweight people, I really advise, first start with meditation. First start with, making yourself happy. Then only that, then they can start with walking. Simple walking. Because directly going to gym and everything, it brings a block to a person's mind. Because I have been an overweight person. I know it very well. Initially, I was not ready to it. But unless and until I tamed my mind, I tamed myself. That is why I am today like this.
Very nice, ma'am. Personal example, always it is very nice. Ma'am, whatever you have told, now I will cut only this portion. I will give it to my my hotel owner. Okay, ma'am. So that he prefers the good food. I will give it to him. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you very much on behalf of everyone. Ma'am, the one thing is, when we started the program, okay, there were 125 people, okay. The 135 people, it continues right through 1 hour. That is because we all know that physical health is much more important. But today, ma'am, you have given a wonderful twist to it. Physical health is also,
Mm.
you can achieve physical health also only if you have mental health.
Mm.
And you have given such
Yes.
a wonderful aspect, certain names which you have told, ma'am, it is not coming in my mouth. Today night, I will sit and buy out all those things, serotonin and all the aspects, different aspects which you told. It is not coming in my mouth. And today night, I will sit and by heart, and so that I will put a message tomorrow. So it was wonderful, ma'am. Thank you very much. Ma'am, only for question and answer session, ma'am, I will request you. Next time when we organize a program, ma'am, half an hour time, only question and answer, ma'am. Because I know many people here, they have many questions. Okay, ma'am. But now that the time is over. So next time, kindly come and give us, हमको मार्गदर्शन दीजिए. आप जो है आपसे जो है विलंबरता से पूछते हैं, विलंबरता से हम पूछते हैं. Please give us, come and give us margin. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Team, on behalf of you, I thank ma'am, and all your wishes be put it on the chat box. Now I give it to the Aditi Bhati. Aditi Bhati. Aditi ma'am, how to pronounce your name, ma'am?
It's Aditi Bhati, BHATI Bhati.
Yeah, because this I learned it today from Ramya. Before calling someone, please ask how to pronounce their name, because I was pronouncing the name of Megha wrongly right from the beginning. Okay, and she also told 2 times in the personal interview, my name is this sir, my name is this sir. Now Ramya has told a very nice thing. Ask the person, okay, ma'am, how to pronounce your name? Please tell me. That was very wonderful from Ramya. Now, actually, I requested Aditi ma'am today because in 2 or 3 occasions I have seen ma'am is contributing through her. I understood from her sharing that she is a voracious reader. She is a voracious reader and a practical life coach, because whenever we have some aspects, she used to give a very nice and practical solutions to aspects. And most of the time, the things which a trainer, psychologist, counselor should know, when I ask something, immediately the first reply will be from Aditya ma'am. Then when I was speaking with her, really I understood she is the gem of a personality with lots of things to be shared to the team. So I request Aditi ma'am to tell us about the habits, because now that our Dr. ma'am also told that we have to tame our mind. What are the habits through which we can tame our mind? Aditi is going to tell. Ma'am, the stage is yours, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you've given a lovely introduction. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right. So, of course, I've been doing trainings for about 14 to 15 years, and I've done trainings throughout the industry with some auto. So I'm in Pune, and in Pune, we have a lot of auto industry. And we've used most of the models available in the industry, including the 7 habits for a lot of different programs. So I will just, I won't go into too much of detail because we already at 8 o'clock, I think. So yeah, it's a Sunday. People might want to carry on with the families, but I will conduct just a 10-minute synopsis session. And if people want more later, then I'll come back with more, probably in the next Sunday or something like that. Yeah. So my whole idea is to take what Dr. Ma'am has said so beautifully and put it into the process of how we can take charge of our own lives and our own minds. Okay. So she brought us to a point to tell us that how the chemicals in our body, how they flow, how we can affect them, and how we can sort of, it depends on how calm we are. This is one of the points that she made, right? So, of course, Stephen Covey, everybody's heard of Stephen Covey, and he has a wonderful book that is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And within that, now that, of course, was a bestseller based on a lot of different researches he has done. Over 200 different books he went through, and then he came across this particular model. And so any psychologist and any person, when he makes a model, he tries and tests it over and over and over again. So he's tried and tested this model. So each of the 7 principles that are given over there is called the principle centered leadership. The next book is that. Am I talking too fast? Should I become slower in pace? Is that comfortable for everyone?
Ma'am, it's
It's
absolutely
normal,
okay.
madam.
Absolutely okay.
fine. Yeah.
Absolutely okay. Yeah.
This is my normal pace of talking. Yeah. Okay. So now before I go through the 7 habits, of course I had asked if I need to make a PPT, but since I didn't get a response, I didn't make a PPT. I'll just take you through them briefly. But my main endeavor will be to make you understand with one example from your own life. Of course, we won't have time to share the examples, but you can always use your pen and paper or just jot down somewhere. Yeah. So in this, he takes us through a way to manage our life and our mind. So primarily he tells us, which he's done a lot of research and he's come up with this. He tells us that when we look at different individuals, you know, either they come into a blaming nature or a victimized nature or a suffering nature. And when any of us come into these 3 kind of natures and we feel tormented, you know, that something bad is happening to me, I'm not able to control my circumstances, you know, I'm under pressure, I'm being blamed, etc. So then we feel like a victim and that we can't do anything about it. Okay. So his entire endeavor in these 7 is to take us out of that victim mode, put us in a controlling mode, that we are controlling what we are doing. Okay. So henceforth, through these 7, we, each one of us present here today, and thank you for being present, everybody. We will be learning how to control our lives. Okay. So not to blame. And in life, we have, all of us have a different mix of things. Some of us have bad health. Some of us have in-law issues. Some of us have marital issues. Some of us have kid issues. Then we have money issues. We have education. We have all kinds of issues. Okay. So we are blessed. So let's say each one is a challenge, but we are always more powerful and we can get over each challenge. Okay. So, so there are 3 different steps that he's put into this. The first step is dependence. Okay. So why I said the blaming nature, the victimization nature. Okay. So when we are feeling that we are being victimized, you know, life is treating us like fish fry on the tawa, like that. Okay. This is what happened to me. See what happened to me. Oh my God. We get that feeling. Okay. So then we are in a very dependent kind of a role where things are happening to us from the outside and we are just flowing along with what is happening. We're not taking control. Okay. So we move from a dependence to independence. That is the middle section. And then the third is interdependence. Okay. So the interdependence. So earlier, the old theory said that dependence to independence is wow. You know, so if you've done just dependence to independence, you should be able to be a master of your life. But Stephen Covey put this forward based on other people's research also, that interdependence. So interdependence is with other people, taking other people along. Okay. So a real winner is not going to be just independent, he's going to be interdependent. Okay. So you can take the example of an army leader or anybody who works in teams, and in companies, all of us work in teams. Look at our cricket teams, look at the football teams, or the political teams, or anybody. Okay. So I'll just go into it right now before, so it's 7 past 8 now in my clock. Yeah. So stop me if I'm going over time because I'm very fine with that. Yeah. So the first habit he talks about, now there are 7 habits. So I'll just read out the habits first and then one by one I'll explain. And once when I explain, I would like you to personalize it, you know, and just 7 short points in your diary you must write. And that's how you'll be able to grow with this little bit of information today. Okay. So the first point is the first habit, which is a very important habit, is to be proactive. Okay. So proactive, active means to do something, right? To be in the involvement of action. To be proactive means it is slightly different. Okay. So it is slightly different from being reactive. Now, if I'm in the victim mode and I'm sitting, okay, and I'm feeling that, oh, suppose I'm supposed to take a bus and my bus is late, and I'm feeling that, see, so bad, this bus company, the bus is late, I'm waiting, and I can't do anything, and my 40 minutes are wasted, etc. That is one way of reacting. The second thing can be to be proactive. Proactive means what is it that I can do about that? You know, so a reactive person will act from his emotions, whereas a proactive person will act from his values and his understanding of the whole situation. So it's more broad based. Okay, so it's more larger, and the kind of people who are proactive, they are not going to suffer with every kind of inflection or every kind of challenge that or change that comes out in the environment. So in life, there is us, and then there is, say, let's say, a bubble of say a protective bubble, and then there is all kinds of challenges which are there out in the open. So in life we can get any kind of challenge at us anytime, and to each we will need to react or act or proact or give some sort of a choice. Okay, so this whole process is about making the right choices and how do we base it. So the first thing, like we said, is being proactive, not reactive. Okay, so instead of being emotional about something, we need to ask ourselves, based on values, how are we going to react to it differently, or how are we going to act in this particular situation. So within this, he also gives a small model, a 30-day proactivity test. Okay, so these are the things I'm going to change about me. These are the things, and he says very clearly, which we have also tried out in training programs, is that when you start making these changes, whether they are small changes, okay, like let me take an example of a college kid, or a husband who's going to work, who's dependent on the mother to make parathas for the tiffin. Okay, so sometime maybe the mother's not feeling so well to make the parathas in the morning. Okay, so he maybe, but if he has a proactive approach, she will feel open enough to tell him that, look, child, I'm not feeling well enough. Can you make your tiffin today? Or can you substitute something like fruit or nuts or something like that, So he would also come up with that sort of suggestion. And that, what happens is, he doesn't feel like a victim because of that. He takes the control and he says, don't worry, mother, I will do this. Okay, so that can be one, a small change. So Stephen Covey says, please make small changes, make a long list of changes that you can incorporate based on this habit of being proactive, okay, not reactive. So all of us have syndromes. Either we have anger syndrome, we have triggers in our environment. So we need to sit back calmly and see, what is my trigger? What irritates me maximum? What is it that puts me down? Okay, so for somebody, it may be like not getting breakfast. For somebody, it may be the house help is not coming on time. For somebody, it may be the child is getting low marks, or anything of the sort which really triggers you off badly. Okay, or maybe plans getting cancelled. So make a list and take the 30-day proactiveness challenge. And in that, keep ticking off that, okay, I have one, and your way of reacting to things will change. Okay, so I'll go on to the next one. So the writing bit, which you can do is, for yourself, if you can just write down 2 or 3 points where you feel you're being reactive. Okay, where you can consider not being so reactive. Okay, and if that one does this to me, then I feel like this, so that flow, you need to change that flow coming in. So don't base it on that one doing this to me or that one saying this to me, etc., but base it on how I react. Okay, so in your book, you can just maybe note down anger because of dash dash dash, frustration because of dash dash dash. This is what I feel, these are the emotional responses, and make a line and say, this is how I'm going to change it. Okay, so that becomes your list, the change list, how you're going to do it in the next 30 days. Okay, the next habit is begin with the end in mind. So Stephen Covey gives a very nice example of looking at your life in an entirety, full, absolute, not just my married life or my school life or etc. Entirety. What is the purpose of me being here? Okay, a very broad base. So when you sit back calmly and think, you will be able to figure out why is it that you're here. So he says, he gives this very example that imagine it's your funeral day. Okay, and get out of your whole funeral and look at yourself from the top, that, oh, I'll take my own example. There lies Aditi. Okay, and people are gathered around and they are saying, okay, she was a person like this, she did this. Somebody says, oh, she made such a great difference to my life. Somebody has tears in her eyes or his eyes, and some person says, yeah, she was okay. So from that point, start thinking backwards. How do you want people to look at you? Do you want to create causes by which people extol you and feel that, wow, this was a wonderful person, okay, and this person made this change in my life, and that's why I have won in my life. Okay, I will never forget this person and I'm always grateful. So what kind of talk do you want people to have about you when you are lying there? Okay, so you need to sit calmly again and think about all that. So once you have that in mind, that habit is called begin with the end in mind. So the end is, what do I want to leave this earth as? Okay, it's a bit of a heavy thought, but it's a deep and serious thought. But for me, for example, many years I was doing a job, then I was doing training, but there are few things that I can't compromise on, like I take care of certain there are some NGO activities, I take care of some animals, I want to set up, let's say, shelters for animals, I want to do something in education. These are the things, if I don't do, I will regret, I will feel my life is not complete. Okay. Of course, other things being okay. So there are always these factors, so again, it takes deep thinking. I'm not saying you can do it right now here, but you must maybe at the end of tonight or the end of the day, just sit and write the 3 things in your diary. If you don't do, you will feel my life is not fulfilled. Okay. And as much as you involve other people in it, like for somebody or for the earth or for environment or for maybe my community or my society, and for the betterment and the upliftment of the consciousness of people, to that extent you will feel the wow factor, you will feel the greatness factor. And I mean, of course, this is there's another research also, that once you start doing things for other people, your frequency, the happiness factor will rise. Like Dr. Madam was saying that when you feel sad, then you feel low. Why do we say we're feeling low? Because the frequency of your energy goes down. When you're high, like, then the frequency of the energy goes up. Like you win in sports, okay? So there's a lot of high emotion and team spirit happening over there, a lot of excitement. You've seen the cricket teams winning, okay? That's not depressive. That's very positive. It's very high energy, and people like to be. I mean, millions watch on the TV because they want to be part of that energy. They want to be part of that moment that India won or the team won, etc. Yeah, so high energy. So this will give you high energy. Then he further says that you will come to a point of values. So through this thought of these 3 things that you will write, you'll come to a point of, what are my values? What is it that I value the most? Is it compassion? Is it etc. etc. Different things. Nobody wants to know, okay, this was Aditi and she checked her Facebook every day and one day she died. Okay, so that's not something worth talking about. That's not something to leave back as a legacy. But this is Aditi who did X, Y, Z for so many people, and we really love her. Okay, this is something nice I want to hear. So similarly, you need to figure out what you want to hear. So there's a lot more to it actually. And so once you see what the values are, okay, so for me, my value is compassion. For me, my value is bringing out the best in human beings. Okay, my value is raising human consciousness. Okay, that is a mission that I strive for. Okay, in my various ways, in my whatever understanding I have, etc. Those are my visions and my missions and my values. So if I'm working towards my values, I feel good. Similarly, you need to write down, okay, what is it that you want to create? What is the value that drives you, drives the purpose of your existence? That, okay. Now we'll go to the third habit. We're already at age 16. Okay. So the third habit is put first things first. मतलब जो चीज पहले करनी है वो पहले करो. Okay. So again, this also directly talks about time management. Okay. So in a day we waste a lot of time. Like I'd give you the Facebook example, or I said that I watch TV or I watch debates or something like that. Now, does it really count in the end? Okay. I get a political opinion. I want to write a blog on it. But am I contributing? Sometimes we get stuck in, especially those of us who are intellectual, who have studied, we get stuck in loops of thinking, the if, for, then diagrams. We get stuck in that, and sometimes they're not productive. So we need to see whether they're productive, whether that is what I want to do. Okay. So when you put first things first, I kind of start doing the right thing, what matters. So sometimes what happens in a day, suppose you take a person like Anita. She gets up in the morning, she gets up late, she rushes for her job, she makes some sort of a just average breakfast, or she picks up a some samosa or vada pav on the way to eat. Then she goes to the office. From her canteen, so bad time management. From the canteen she orders something not so healthy. Then her whole day is spent working. Then late evening she finishes. Then at lunchtime also she's busy. Then she comes back rushing. Then again, she has no time or energy to do anything. So she just orders like burger from outside. Again, bad eating, unhealthy eating. There's no time for exercising. There's no time to catch up with people in the family or friends or make any such plans. So this is an average lifestyle. I think everybody gets into this lifestyle from time to time, and a larger part of life we are doing this only. Okay, we are disorganized. Then there is a person who uses the third principle very nicely. Say Rani or Rinki or Ramesh. Okay, he uses the third principle very well, and he says, no, I'm going to put first things first. So he does the right things at the right time. So he gets up on time, he exercises, or whatever is there in your checklist. And for that, and then he sort of is able to put everything in perspective. He goes to the office, he has time to do various things. And for that time management, I think Siva sir had also once shared the quadrant, the urgent and the important quadrant. So this is where it comes in this habit, the urgent and the important. So you put urgent, non-urgent, and then important and not important things, activities. So in your urgent important, you will get in the first quadrant. You'll get things which are urgent and important, which have to be managed, like say your mother's health. Okay, immediately usko manage karna hai, BP बढ़ गया hai. Okay, तो वो urgent भी है, important भी है. You can't put it for tomorrow. You can't put it for 2 hours later also. You have to do it now. Okay, so that is urgent, important. These kind of activities come in, take your time immediately. Sometimes they are planned, sometimes they're not planned. Okay, the planned ones could be taking flying to a certain destination, so you have a trip planned, that is urgent, important also, or having a big business meeting, or something like that. Okay, then there is urgent, not important. Sorry, we'll go to not urgent and important. So there's a small quadrant for that, you can imagine. So here, the things which are not urgent but are important, these are in quadrant 2. So he says these are the winning points. So if you focus on these, now what comes in here? Health. Okay, so your health comes in here, your relationships comes in here, and he says you need to focus on the quadrant 2. This is the quadrant 2. So when you do your time management activities correctly in the day, you're taking care of your health, you're taking care of your diet, you also have time to call your parents or relatives, whoever doesn't live with you and is important, okay, every day. So you can do all those activities. Then there are 2 more quadrants. The third quadrant, which is urgent but not important. These are always going to be like some sort of either escalations at office. You'll have to see whether they are important or not important, or you'll have to, again, emergencies. Then there could be interpersonal, there could be certain telephone calls coming, and your boss says, okay, Aditi, take this telephone call and see what this person wants to handle it. So sometimes you need to do it, sometimes you don't. But the point is that as much as you don't do it, and as you keep rising the ladder of either the corporate ladder or your company, there will be somebody you can delegate to. So if you can delegate this task to somebody, you should do it. Okay, so that is one. Like a lot of ladies will get stuck with yeah that's a nice one. Okay, so the green one is what I was talking about right now. That
please go ahead, Aditi, just for people.
Thank you for that. And the fourth one is to limit those completely. Okay, so that is not urgent and not important. So something that is not as like looking at your Facebook. Okay, so every day there is you need to check it. Now we've become addicts, so this is something we really need to look at in ourselves, right? That do I really need to check my Instagram and Facebook every hour? And some of us are on different apps also. Of course, WhatsApp has become like a lifeline. We don't drink water, but we look at WhatsApp. Okay, so we really need to check ourselves. What is happening to us in this digital age? Are we just slipping away from our purpose in life? See, time is not going to wait for anybody. One day, all of us will be over. It will be the funeral day. Okay, in whichever process we have the funeral, it is going to come. It's definite. So time is extremely limited for us, and nobody's manufacturing time for us. Phones will come, apps will come, time will not come. So this is something really, I request you to look at it in that sense. Look at it very seriously, the face of it, and deal with that. So limit quadrant 4. So in quadrant 4, like you can see, all these things come away, like even watching your serials, your TV serials and all, or just chatting with neighbors, and all these things come. Yeah? So in this habit, third habit, all these come in. So when we start mapping it correctly, we'll be able to run our day properly in the time management perspective. Okay. So these 3, if we do correctly, they come into the zone where we are feeling as if we are victimized. Okay, from a dependent zone, we are coming into an independent zone. So these three help us to come into an independent zone. So you can imagine that now, having done these three. So again, if you reflect, you will be able to, do this nicely, write down some points, etc. So normally we take a 1-day program on 7 habits. It's a very long program where we have all these activities in this time. Okay, so I'll go a little faster again. Then the next three I'll come to, that is habit 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So in habit 4, 5, and 6, we are going into interdependence. Okay. So interdependence means it will involve other people. It will involve how I work with other people to make their life good and my life good, our life good. Okay. So interdependence. So the fourth one is think win-win. The fourth habit is think win-win. So there can be many examples of normally how negotiations are done, conflict is done, so one person is a conflict monger. He says mujhe sab mil jaye, dusre ko nahi mile. It doesn't work like that. So that is a win-lose. Okay. Or otherwise you go into a lose-win situation, that okay, fine, I give in, I give up, please take it all, do it your way. Even that is not right. That means you're working from a low self-esteem point. You're not putting your points across correctly. You're not holding your ground. There is a certain reason that you objected to that particular thing happening, right? And now you're saying, okay, I don't want to be in conflict. You take it away. You take the whole deal away. Okay, even that is not right. So it can't be win-lose or lose-win. Okay, it has to be win-win. So that's what Stephen Covey's next, the fourth habit is think win-win. So once you think win-win, what happens is, you're thinking of how that person can win and how you can win. So sometimes what happens is, it seems the resources are scarce. Okay, so if you just have, there's a very nice example they give that, I don't know why they say Chinese bride, they should be a Kashmiri bride. Okay, so there were a few, there were like 2 almonds, and there were 7, 8 guests sitting in the drawing room. So her father-in-law gives her the almonds and says that, okay, that's all we have, can you divide them amongst the guests, so she thinks that she's a wise bride, okay, or daughter-in-law. So she goes and she makes, so I mean, you can imagine how she could do it, but one way that I'll quickly give you the way how she does it. She makes tea, and she puts those 2 almonds in tea, and through that the essence comes out, and she serves it to 7 people. So she distributes those 2 almonds in a way to 7 people. So she's the wise bride and she does the right thing. So she thought win-win. Okay, she didn't think it do hai chote chote almonds, how will I chop them, how will I serve them, but that essence reaches everybody through the tea. So similarly, the concept is based on abundance. Okay, the one word abundance, that there is enough and more for everybody. It's not that itna hi hai. If we just think itna hi hai hamare paas, then what happens is, then we feel restrictive. Oh, itna hi mujhe chahiye, because all human beings are selfish. We want to grab. Okay, when we want to grab, then we feel we'll get nurtured and nourished, but that's not the truth. The truth is that when we share, we will all be nurtured and nourished, based on the principle again that everybody has a reflection of me inside them. Okay, I'm not an island. No human is an island. We are all connected. Okay, so in Vietnam and Hanoi, Vietnam side, you see these ridges and mountains. They poke out from the top, but at the bottom they're all connected. If you take a deep dive into the sea, you will see that all these ridges and all are connected from inside, and it's very beautiful. So it comes up from the top, and it seems like sharp mountains, but they're not. So it's very surprising, if you see, and many such structures of nature. So nature itself gives you so many answers. Yeah. So this principle is think win-win, again based on abundance. And so now how to practice it, that's the question, right? So quickly I'll just put across that when you come across a negotiation or a point, or something that where you feel there is lack of abundance, itna hi hai, and who takes it, right? You need to again think of lateral thinking, different ways of solutioning. Okay, either that resources, or you have an alternate resource, or you have multiple resource. Okay, so you need to get more solutions. You need to start using your mind. That's why human beings have these powerful huge heads, right, compared to other creatures. So the solution exists. The point is, we need to make a shift in our heart, thinking from conflict, okay, to both people win equally and happily. Okay, and one easy way to do it is think everybody's your brother and everybody's your sister. Simple. Okay. I wouldn't snatch from my sister or my brother, so let me share. Okay. So I'll stop this point here. I'll go to the next point. That is number 5. Seek first to understand, okay, then be understood. So one of the examples that Kobe gives is, he says he was complaining one day to his very son. He was not getting along with his son. And he tells his son, he was telling a third person in the office that my son, he's not listening to me, so he's not listening to me, and I don't understand what he's saying. So that person then looked at the whole sentence and said that aren't you supposed to understand him, and then he's supposed to listen to you. So it has to be an equal dialogue. So this point is based on empathy. Okay, empathy means not sympathy. Empathy means understanding from the heart. Okay, so listening with an open heart, listening to that person's problem from that person's perspective. Okay, so everybody's competence is different. If you take a Virat Kohli, and you say, okay, 20 run bana do, make to 20 runs, it's very simple for him probably. If you ask me that, it's very tough. Okay, I can't do it. My competence is not in that area. So we need to open-mindedly understand that while A can be competent in this field, he may be very incompetent in another field, and B can have a reverse. So when we start understanding each human in front of us or in our team or in the company, then we will be able to figure out and make this bridge. Okay. So seek first to understand that person, listen to the person, make the bridge, and then go forward. So if we look at a dialogue, if somebody tells you that somebody comes complaining to you saying that she's frustrated, she just says, I hate my job. Okay. So within this, a lot of communication also comes in. So you can then talk to her. So are you trying to say that you are not liking your job right now and you're going to look at ways to make it better? Okay. So once you put it, rephrasing and paraphrasing are very important here. Communication part comes into play here. So empathy and communication together. So when you communicate and give feedback and rephrase and paraphrase and put in different words, okay, then you will be able to have that bridge built. And then so the person feels, yes, I'm understood. This person understands me. So there immediately you've built a bridge. Okay. That okay, you're feeling upset about this. I'm listening to you. And then through the dialogue, maybe she'll come to a point of saying that, do you think I should apply for a new job? So up until the point that that person is emotionally venting, okay, just saying emotional things, you can't come to a logical dialogue with that person. You need to bring that person to a logical state of mind to have a logical dialogue. Okay. So that's the purpose of this particular point, to understand that person, bring the person into a logic frame of mind, and then have a solution coming out. With an emotional reactive person, you cannot have the solution coming out. Okay. So this is again applicable to family, relationship, team, everybody. Okay, then the 6th point I'll go to quickly. Learn to synergize. So synergy means, of course, in an open program, I would ask you what it means, and we always get very interesting answers. But basically, it means do or do panch. Okay, that movie had come out, right? So the strength of 1 + 1 is more than 2. That is the meaning of synergy in simple math terms. Okay, so it means that so when you put forces together, or when you put you pool your strengths together, you get more out of it. So think in terms of taking people along with you in the vision. So now you have become a principle centered person. You are working on your vision, which you did in habit 2. You're working on the vision, you're working on the values, and you're dealing from that angle. So it's very easy for you to sort out these problems in your mind once you start practicing them. Okay. So how to deal with relationships better is to take them along with you, and so sometimes there are always issues between husband and wife, the husband is working late, wife doesn't understand. Doctors typically also face this, So again, when you use this synergy aspect of it, okay, so it works very nicely. I won't give more examples on this right now, but learn to synergize. Okay. That is, pool your resources together, and to that extent, don't look at differences. Look at the things that you have in common. And that also talks about your own positivity. That do I look at differences or do I look at, so we are from the army basically. And so this developed in us, and we are like the fourth generation in the army. Okay, I'm not, but my father was. So when we go to different, we get posted all over India. Okay, and whenever I meet the youth of India, I'm always telling them, don't join the state forces, please join the national forces, because I see the difference it has made in my life. Okay, so I love the Bengali culture, I love the Tamilian culture, I love each culture because we have stayed in them. And I can proudly say through the army, I have family in each state today. Okay, families who are so close to us. And I think Amita has also been in the army, and she will say, give this a double take somewhere, or anybody who knows the culture. So what I'm saying is that when you stand with the people in their moment and their endeavor and their culture, your heart expands, and so does theirs. Okay, so there's no you and me anymore, right? So you are able to take those people along with you very simply, and it doesn't affect you, it affects the entire family and the entire community. Okay. Then the last one is the last. So these three finish off the interdependence. So these three are the interdependence. How to take people along with you, what to do with each other. You got to win. Okay, both people have to win. All that. The thinking aspect changes. And the last one is sharpen the saw. Okay, so one very beautiful example is given. It's a bit of a long one, so I won't use that. But basically, putting it in words, in nutshell, in numbers, if you sharpen your saw, if you're cutting something with a blunt saw means that Ari, okay? If you're cutting with a blunt Ari, it may take you hours to cut a particular piece of wood. But if you have a very sharp instrument, it will cut very fast. So it says that you need to sharpen your own saw by increasing your learning and capabilities. Okay, so that is the seventh habit. So these are the 7 habits. Maybe what I can do is put them together in a small, like a not a PPT, but maybe just one word file or something, and I'll send it to Sir. So maybe tomorrow you can just share it. I
Yeah.
think that would be nice for everybody.
Aditi, great Aditi. Aditi, it was wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Aditi, one question. Aditi,
Yes.
I want to know your compassion towards pets. You told you love pets. Compassion to. Please tell something about it.
Yeah. So this, see, I have been helping I work with street dogs and street animals,
Wow.
and we have large organizations, NGOs basically, and activist groups. So I help them in medication and in feeding that way. Uh, yeah, that kind of thing. And of course, I want to make a proposal to the local mayor here about, how to recognize them, because so many issues are there. But basically, this is something that I want to definitely do. And every day there are so many road accidents where there are bleeding animals, the spine is injured, and sometimes we run out of funds also. So that is there. Then if you look at it in the CSR view, then there are very few companies who give CSR money to animals. They always give it to humans and people causes, which is fine. So we need to get the funding from different kind of sources. So this is something I definitely want to do, and I feel they're just beautiful, divine people. In fact, so they're very pure at heart, animals. Basically.
See, actually, this Ivan Uvin, which you told, okay.
Yeah.
We have been trying to do this with humans, okay. I also been and Aditi also been. But Aditi is trying to do, Aditi is also a winner and a street dog is also a winner. What a thought. Aditi, it was great. It was great. So, team, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Aditi. I will finish it with this small poem which is dedicated to Aditi and Meghda man. कौन कहता है कि खुदा नजर नहीं आता कौन कहता है कि खुदा नजर नहीं आता ये वही तो नजर में आता जब कुछ नजर नहीं आता जब कुछ भी नजर में नहीं आता तब सिर्फ वही नजर में आता a life coach and a doctor and a life coach, they are the people, they come to the local nazar mein aata hai jab un log jab pareshani mein hai, and we are all doing great work, all psychologists here, all counselors here, all trainers here. You're all doing wonderful and marvelous work, and I salute all of you. And please share your knowledge like this every week. When I requested Megha ma'am was very much happy to share her knowledge. And today Aditi also now she has done a very marvelous job. I learned so many aspects. Even though I have been conducting programs on 7 habits of highly effective people, personal examples, okay, that creates impact. Aditi, thank you very much. Megha, thank you very much. Anyone from the team? Anyone from the team? I would like to. I request you to give the vote of thanks to both of you, both of them. Anyone from the team? Please go.
Yeah. Shall I try, sir?
Yes. I think some male voice has come. Who is that?
Yeah, this is Gopalakrishnan.
Yeah, Gopalakrishnan sir, please go ahead. Then you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Madam Meghna, Madam, and Aditi, Madam. It's a really wonderful session, like where you have given insights to different areas and different subjects. Though I am practicing so much things, but you people criticized some of the areas where I am lagging behind also. Equally for the other people also, they would have felt like that actually. It's a really wonderful session. We really thank you for the great analysis and insights into the different subjects. Thank you very much, Madam. Both of them, Madam, like Dr. Meghna and Aditi. It's really grateful, Madam. Thank you very much.
And we are expecting a session from Gopalakrishnan sir soon. And one ma'am wanted to talk. Yeah, ma'am, you can finish it with the ma'am. Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
Sir, good evening, friends. Sir, it was amazing session. Like I am giving stress management session to my nurses in AIIMS in Rajendra Prasad Center, and 3-4 steps, 3-4 these habits I am touching. But it was amazing. Like I learned a lot, and both sessions were excellent, ma'am. Before that, I have learned from so many webinars, but this webinar is one of the best in my life I ever attended. Thank you so much for this amazing.
Thank you very much, team. Let's meet next week. Maybe our Gopalakrishnan sir, I will be talking with someone. Someone here, if you're good in something, please contact me in my personal window. Let's have a session. Let us. अगर बांटना है तो see sharing को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? बांटना. जोड़ना. अगर जोड़ना ही है तो knowledge को जोड़ते हैं.
Yes.
Because I am also trying to learn Hindi. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Sir, thank you, Shivakumar sir, for bringing the wonderful experts, great experts. Thank you very much, sir.
Next week, it is your turn, sir. Please, Margadarshan dijiye. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.